My biggest regret is not calling the police there and then. What I thought was just me sleeping with an ex actually turned out to be him filming us having sex. It was I will delete it, like no one's ever gonna see it.
Georgia Harrison takes Stephen Bear to court for sharing explicit videos of her without consent.
So image-based sexual abuse, only 4% are convicted.
I meet so many women that put themselves out there to seek justice and don't get it. So I've campaigned and changed the law.
An MBE is what you were just awarded.
To know that someone in the government has recognised me for what I'm doing, it's just made me feel even more like my voice matters.
When you think about Love Island, was Mike the first person that you were close to that took their life?
Looking back, I can definitely see that he was struggling. I found out and immediately I just started crying. You have to have a thick skin to be able to go on there.
So why do Love Island the second time around? Clearly you've gone through a lot of different types of relationships, but you're now in one, a very healthy relationship.
And he's made me love myself in ways I never thought I could. And also, I've always wanted to be a mum.
I have a surprise for you.
I didn't know you'd do this to me.
We've just hit 200,000 subscribers. And honestly, we're blown away. This started as a space for honest conversations, and the fact that so many of you have shown up means everything. If you haven't subscribed yet, it's free, takes just a second, and helps us grow this community and bring you even more powerful episodes. Speaking of, let's get into it. Georgia Harrison, we need to talk.
Let's do it, Paul.
We met at a Tinder event.
That sounds so bad.
Which is so wild. That's where we met.
Yeah.
Right? And I'll tell you what I distinctly remember about you is I was like, oh, that's Georgia from TV.
Yeah.
And that's how I had identified you. That was your identity to me, Georgia from TV.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I continued to see you pop up in different places, hosting a documentary, getting an MBE, right, where I started to unpack and learn more about you. And I think you have an incredibly fascinating story. Like fascinating. I'm so excited to talk to you about it. To the point where, and I just said this right before we started, is that normally I outline how many topics I want to cover with a guest. It'll probably be 5 or 6. And literally, I have 9+ topics with you.
It's impressive.
You're impressive. You're impressive, right? And so I can't wait for us to go through it all. Could I ask why? I understand the excitement. Why be scared?
I just think my life's been such a roller coaster. So there's always going to be like so many topics that at times are going to be upsetting to speak about, but also that are really powerful. And I know me speaking about certain things in my life really helps people, and that's why I like to do it. But it's still like, you know, it is like being on a roller coaster.
Fair enough. You know what? And I hate roller coasters.
Yeah.
I hate them, but I'll jump on the roller coaster with you.
Thank you. Considering you hate them, I really appreciate that. That means a lot. Yeah.
Done. Let's do it. So let's start our ride in one of my favorite places in all of the UK, and that is Essex.
Still can't believe it's one of your favourite places in the UK.
I think it's because it was the first place outside of London, right? So I was working on Celebs Go Dating, and I think during my first week, there was a scene that I filmed with Chloe Sims, TOWIE OG, right? Where I had to eat eel, pie, mash, liquor.
I still can't believe you've done that.
It was like,
I would have just left the eel out. Everything else is absolutely fine. Apart from that, I think you got conned.
All right, fair. All right, but also outside of the food, what I notice is that there's a distinct culture in Essex, right? So if you think about what Essex culture means to you, especially growing up, how would you define that? What was the environment like?
It was always very glamorous, very over the top, very flashy. Like there's a lot of actually really famous people that have come out of Essex, especially if you look at reality TV, a lot of people are from Essex. And I think it's just a lot of big personalities. But when I was in school, that was the era when TOWIE first started.
Okay.
So I would have still been in school when it was first coming to the screens. And before TOWIE, there wasn't that many sort of reality TV shows or anything like that was sort of unheard of. And that was when you could really see like the rise of people becoming famous for literally nothing around the area, driving around in nice cars, filming TV shows and actually being very wealthy off the back of it. And I think that is sort of the environment that I grew up in.
Interesting. So did that influence you early on? Did you think, wow, I'd love to get a piece of this?
Oh, definitely. I think like a lot of my friends would be on a show like that. But at first, when I was younger, I didn't always believe things were that easily be obtainable. Like I didn't believe in manifestation or really myself that much. And then my mindset began to change. And that's when I used to think, yeah, I would love to get a piece of this. Do you know what I mean? No, you don't need any qualifications. All you need to do is turn up, have a good time, have a bit of personality and a laugh. And you'll be like far more well off than pretty much everyone in your school year.
Okay. So you got your wish?
I did, yeah.
How did you get that? Because it was at 2014 that you were 19, you make your first appearance on TOWIE. How do you think you actually manifested that? How did you make it happen?
So it's weird to say because it's not like I went up to ITV Studios and knocked on the door and I was like, come on, let me on TOWIE, or even tried to position myself to be on there. I would literally just manifest that something like that would be really good for me. And I would imagine what my life would be like. I would imagine myself getting papped. I would imagine myself being in front of a camera. I was just thinking, I think I just wanted to have a good time. I don't think I was thinking about anything, any next steps. I was just like enjoying each moment. I was young. I was partying a lot. This for me was just, let's see how long it lasts.
Okay.
And let's hope it does.
Let's have a good time.
And let's have a good time, yeah.
So on TOWIE, did you get paid for TOWIE?
Yeah, we did, but not a lot. So you would only get paid for the days that you filmed. And that was only like 2 or 3 days a week.
Okay.
And I can't remember how much it was, but it was low then.
Like how much, I'm trying to think roughly how much.
Might have been like 80 quid.
Per day?
Yeah, per day. And you don't film every day, I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure it was that.
Georgia, you were losing money then.
Well, yeah, because obviously as well, you're then having to keep up with all of these expenses because everyone looks so good and so glamorous. And you can't work because most nights you'll get told at 12 o'clock that night what day you're filming the next day. So you can't commit to anything.
So how are you surviving financially at this point?
I mean, I was just doing my best. I had a part-time job as a shot girl. So sometimes I'd be doing TOWIE and then sometimes I'd be selling shots in like clubs in London.
Okay. So TOWIE then becomes the beginning of what looks like you've done endless television.
Yeah.
I mean, you have done. All right, tell me if I'm off on this. So TOWIE, Love Island All Stars, Celebrity SAS, The Challenge.
Yeah.
You've hosted a documentary.
Yeah. And Celebrity X on the Beach. Not top of the list, but I did it.
Celeb X on the Beach. I mean, so you've done all of these shows.
Yeah.
Right. So at what point do you start looking at reality television as a career? And is there anyone that you aspire to be like?
See, one thing if you do want to have a career in reality TV that you have to do nowadays is, I think when I'd done TOWIE, I only got about 60,000 followers, but I didn't do that much with it. That was when Instagram was first coming around. And then when I got Love Island, which was a few years later, and it was massive, so I knew when I came off, I was going to have a very big platform, regardless of how long I was on there. You could literally go in and breathe in that villa and you would come out an influencer.
Right.
And I thought I'm actually going to put some real work into it when I do come out. So I've always put a lot of work into my social media pages, into doing my best to like study the algorithm, see what other influencers are doing, listening to podcasts about what's most successful on each platform, make sure to run multiple platforms at the same time.
Yes.
And I think that is the plan. The plan is if you can keep yourself relevant on social media, then the other opportunities will follow in and around that.
Yeah. I think this is something that is underappreciated by the public. And that is, I think a lot of people look at those who land on reality TV shows and think, you know what, they lucked up, got on this show, and they got X number of followers, however many that is, and they got all these other deals out of luck.
Yeah.
And I think that people don't realize how strategic and well thought, right, a lot of these contributors are. And to your point is that you were consciously thinking, okay, if I do this show, here's what I can do. Here's how I can leverage it afterwards.
Yeah.
You then, the next show though is Love Island.
Yeah.
It was series 3 that you went on. So at this point, series 3, I think things begin to change a lot for Love Island.
Our series was the one where it really blew up. I think it was the first one to really catapult people into completely new careers. And like Olivia Attwood was on my one, Chris Hughes, Kem Sonetti, Montana Brown. A lot of people just went massive from it. And I think you could tell it was going to be big, like in the lead up to it. But actually during that time I was working in the office and I had a boyfriend at the time. And I would say it was like the first person I'd ever loved and the first relationship that I was ever really happy in, that I really wanted to be in, that really, wasn't perfect for sure, but it was something that I was really excited to be in and I didn't dread sort of the relationship itself.
And that was the first relationship that you were happy in?
The first relationship I was happy in, yeah.
Okay. And you're at this time, how old are you? 21?
21.
Yeah, you're 21.
21, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know what the timeline was, but a while later, my partner basically told me something that had happened, and I won't go into it for respect for him, but it was something that meant our relationship had to end there and then, and it was something that I definitely wouldn't be forgiven for a while. And something that really, really broke my heart, and I think broke his as well. But I was just like, well, I might as well go for the interview. And the funny thing, Paul, I really think like when you go into something with a really needy energy, when you're like, oh, I'd love to be on this show and I'd be so perfect for it. And I just think I've got the tits, the eyes, the arse, they're going to love me. Like, yeah, like they're like, I'm not really feeling this. But when you go into something with more of a reserved energy, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I could take it or leave it. They're always the times that you get the job.
Yes.
And I ended up getting it, but as a bombshell.
Yeah, which was massive.
Yeah.
And by the way, that reminds me, growing up in New York, one of the OGs used to always tell me, and this is as a little boy, he'd say, even though you're hungry, never move like you're starving.
Yes. I really like that.
And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right? So they probably sensed, you know what, she probably doesn't even want this.
Yeah.
So therefore, they wanted you even more.
Exactly. But just because you're a bombshell doesn't mean they're going to put you in. Like there's lots of people that are bombshells that put their whole lives on hold for the summer and they just don't get the phone call. So I'd be sitting there every week watching it, like really enjoying the show, and there'd be a new girl in and a new girl in, and every week I'd be like, why is it not me? Like so frustrated.
Yeah, so they don't even not quarantine you, but they don't even.
No.
So you're at home watching the show.
You're at home watching the show. Like I would sit on my desk and get hit in the head with like Love Island beach balls that they were handing out at the station, just thinking I'm meant to be in there. Like,
oh my God. So now you being then casted as a bombshell was the idea, okay, we're going to pull you in essence, to steal someone's partner.
Yeah.
But what were they waiting on? How would they know if it's you versus another bombshell?
See, they just wait and see when to place someone. But I think obviously they'll find out who you think's the most attractive throughout the series. So I'd always said that I thought Ken would have been more my type. He's like cheeky, Essex boy. He was someone that would have been my type at the time.
Then how did you finally get the call to...
So they'd done the first ever Casa Amor. I, at this point, was like, I'm not watching it anymore. I was like, anti Love Island. I'm done with it. I'm not watching it. Like, I just can't. They've messed me around. They're not going to bring me on. Do you know what I mean? I stopped going to the gym, picked up the burgers. I was straight back out. I was like, it's done. And then I got a call, and I think it was at about 9, 10 in the morning at my office. And it was, can you get on a plane by 5 p.m. to Mallorca? And that was it. I was like on the boss's door. JD, I'm out of here. I'm going on Love Island. I'd given him an inkling that I might be going. And he was excited, my boss, luckily. He was very supportive. He was like, just go out there. He went, but as I left, he went, delete your LinkedIn though. I was like, I will. Just in case.
So within 24 hours of that call, you were then
Yeah, I was
Didn't want you
then
to walk in.
in a holding villa for a night or two, and then I walked in.
And you picked him because he was genuinely your type.
Yeah, genuinely.
Okay. So you were really trying.
I was always going to annoy someone in there because I was the last bombshell. So, you know, when it gets to that stage, everyone's always really coupled up. So I just thought I might as well genuinely just go for who would be my type. Like, you've got to pick someone.
Okay.
And I think a lot of bombshells segregate themselves when they first move in, like the sort of energy is a little bit off. And I think that's the worst thing you can do, because you have to just understand that it is going to be off. It's human nature. They're not going to like you at first, but they will eventually, if you just carry on being funny, saying and doing the right things, being in your own lane and concentrating on the next step for you, eventually everything will change.
On that note, I have many surprises for you today.
Oh no. What is it?
I just wanted to say how incredibly proud of you I am, and how you have turned what was a terrible experience into life-changing work and activism. You've been like a sister since I met you. And watching you grow into this formidable, intelligent, powerful woman has been nothing but a privilege, and you will make the most amazing mother. But you need to make sure you've still got babysitters for I betrayal. Thank you.
Oh, I love her so much, and I'm so lucky to have her. She supported me so much throughout my journey in so many ways. Like, she's given me confidence when I needed it. She's been there for me when I'm down. She's always helped me, like when I don't know if I've done or said the right thing. She's always there to reassure me. You've got this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, she's special. I mean, there's definitely upside, I think, with Love Island. I think that there's definitely downside, right, as well. And even if we can explore that a little bit, so many people think Caroline Flack, right? They think about Muggy Mike, who I think was a friend of yours.
Yeah.
There's Sophia Graydon.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so you think about these people who've taken their lives. What do you believe the role that reality TV has, and even the responsibility that we within the industry that we have with regard to the people who participate in the industry to protect them?
People need the support when they come out of the show, even if they've had a great time. You've been in a really odd environment that most humans aren't in. You're being recorded 24 hours a day. It's not natural, you know. You're going to have a little bit of time after any show where you do feel a bit off, and it's good to be able to speak to someone. But I think the most important part is really, really vetting people as they go on. Like, we've had some terrible people on reality TV that probably never should have been on there. And then we've also had some very fragile people that definitely shouldn't have been on there because they haven't got the emotional intelligence to handle what they're about to come up against. But I think we're definitely changing that. And if you look at the last few series of Love Island, most of the people on there have been like really strong in the way that they are. And they've been well vetted. And I think a lot more people probably get turned away, whereas before they wouldn't have.
Yeah. Can we talk about Mike for a second?
Yeah.
Because was Mike the first person that you were close to that took their life?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. He was the first person I was close to, the first person around my age. And he was on my series. Me and him actually got on really well on my series. We didn't end up going out on there, but when it got back to reality, me and Montana would spend quite a bit of time with Mike, and I used to go on quite a few PAs with him, so I spent quite a lot of close time with him. And I just always thought he had it all. I thought he was so handsome, so funny, such a gentleman. Like, he was the sort of guy, like, if we were moving into a hotel or doing something like that, he'd grab all the girls' bags. And, like, you know, even when I saw him when he was in a relationship, he was always someone who was so honourable about their partner when their partner wasn't around. Like, I remember just always thinking, you know, I'd love to date a boy like Mike. So it's so sad to think that he deep down was really insecure and didn't see those aspects of himself.
Right. When you think back to, was there any moment where you thought, you know what, he seems off to me, or was there never that?
The last time I saw him, him and Montana went to Sexy Fish. And during that time, my best friend had cancer and was in a hospital nearby where we were. And I remember me, Mon and Mike went for one drink after, and then he wanted us to stay. but we couldn't stay because I had to go see my friend in the hospital, and I think Mon had to do something as well. And I always remember thinking, like, looking back, I feel like he had more to talk about, and I really regretted not staying. Like, I can't obviously blame myself for leaving because I was dealing with other issues at that time.
Right.
And, you know, you never know what's going to happen in life, so you can't overthink things like that. But when you replay the night in your head, I can definitely see that he was struggling. And I think he used to let on a lot more to Mon than he did me.
Right. It probably didn't even have the words to truly articulate, you know, how he was feeling.
Yeah.
So when you think about Mike's legacy, what is it?
I just think he's an absolute legend. I think he taught people how to be a real gentleman. And if you really knew him, you would look at him and think, if I have a son one day, I want him to be just like you. And I think the only thing that his loss can teach people is, you know, just do your best to hang on and do your best to try and see the qualities in yourself that other people see in you.
So Mike was a really good friend of yours. But one thing that we haven't yet really touched on are romantic relationships. Just a quick one before we get into this next conversation with Georgia. Our conversation touches on domestic violence and suicidal thoughts. If these topics are difficult for you, please take care while watching. We've added support links in the episode description. So even if we go back to Georgia, little girl Georgia.
Yeah.
Right. It sounds like what you were alluding to earlier is that the relationships that you had initially, they were not good.
No.
Right. So what were some of those not good relationships?
I mean, I think one of my first relationships, I probably lost my virginity to the guy, and then it fizzled out after a few weeks. He weren't really interested after that. Do you know what I mean? You're like 17, that's life. And, you know, that probably upset me a bit, but I think that's just normal. But that didn't really leave me with any self-love or feedback from my first sort of really intimate relationship experiences. And then after that, I had a relationship, which was probably my first proper relationship of understanding myself within a partner. And unfortunately, it was really emotionally and sometimes physically abusive.
Georgia, if we can we spend a moment on this?
Yeah.
Because this, quite honestly, this truly blows me away at how many women that I speak to in heterosexual relationships who enter abusive relationship. I had no idea how much verbal and physical abuse was happening in relationships. I was completely naive to this. And then how does it go from what you think is loving to not?
I just think it went from, you know, romance, you know, friendship, slowly building up. And then once the love was there, it turned to almost an insecurity thing, a part of, you know, they didn't want me to feel good about myself because it might mean that I then went on to meet someone else. Mm-hmm. And because that was one of my first relationships, the emotional abuse, I would actually say, was more traumatic and had a far longer lasting effect on me than any of the physical abuse would have. And it wasn't like I was getting my nose broken or anything like that. But, you know, there'd be times where he'd like hold me face down on a bed, where he'd spit in my face. He once kicked me out of a moving car. It was moving slow, but it was still really traumatic. I was really bruised from the experience. Like, he threw a glass of orange juice over my head in a restaurant. It was all things to like embarrass me. And a lot of the time it would be because I'd sat down and apparently given the weight of the eye, or like, you know, it was always something I'd done. And I would start to believe that I deserved it, that I was doing things wrong. And the emotional abuse would be very much like, because he knew I'd never been, you know, naked with other men and stuff like that, he'd always say, you know, you might think you're good looking with your clothes on, and all boys do, but actually you're disgusting, like naked, like, you know, no one would ever want to be with you, like really like rip me apart, you're fat, like you're ugly, you're lazy, like anything you could imagine that you could say to someone, he would say to me. And I would then start to believe that actually no one else is ever going to love me. And it was almost like an honor that this person actually did, because I am so worthless. And it's mad how like that can slowly change someone's character to the point where they actually believe a completely different reality to what they're living in. And it wasn't until I met my boyfriend when I was a bit older that I actually met someone who made me feel like I was attractive and I was actually someone that people wanted to be with, and that I didn't have anything wrong with me. But those abusive relationships, they shape how you see yourself, and it's really hard to ever shake that off.
Yes. It's the playbook that they always run is how they can minimize you,
Yeah.
right? To make you dependent on them. And to your point is it's an insecurity on their part. That's driving that, right? How did you break free from that abusive relationship?
I found it really hard, but eventually I moved away. I went and lived with some other girls in Ibiza for a little bit of time, and that's how I had some space away from it. And that's when I started to realise that, with the right support away around me and being away from that person, I could slowly build myself up, because actually in that relationship, I felt isolated. I felt like if I ever spoke to any of my friends, they were always a problem, or I felt like I would get in trouble for speaking to certain people, going certain places. I just felt completely and utterly trapped.
Trapped. This is how prevalent domestic abuse is in the UK. 1 out of every 4 women in England will experience domestic abuse in their lifetime. It's 25%. In the UK, every 30 seconds, a domestic abuse related call is made to the police. Every 30 seconds. This is the one topic that has become the most shocking to me on how prevalent it is to this day. What do you think we should be doing today?
It is just education in schools. There's usually 2 reasons that I think it stems from. It's either they've seen their father treat their mother like that, and that is how they express love. And like, I still have such sympathy for people that end up in that space, because they grew up in that, and that is why they ended up like they were, and it doesn't make it okay. But they need someone to pull them out of that. They need someone to educate them on healthy relationships. And then there's the other side where it comes from a deep insecurity. And that's also where I think education in schools needs to help, but it needs to be male focused. And there are people doing it out there with older males. I know. Do you know Beverly Knight?
Yes.
So her
Yes.
partner runs men's only workshops.
Okay.
And it's all about teaching them about how their insecurities are projected on their partners. And it is so intelligent the way he breaks it down to them, because until someone holds that mirror up to you, you don't understand it. And if things like that could be replicated at a younger age
Yes.
across loads of different schools, you could really change that dynamic really early on. And I am scared for our generation, because if I experienced it, this is before Andrew Tate and before there were all of these role models who are out there literally putting domestic abuse on a pedestal. And it's something that definitely needs to be combated, and a regulation of the porn industry, because that's also really confusing for young men.
There you go. I'm with everything that you said. I would also add conscious parenting.
Yeah.
And I think this is one thing that I know is a topic that is quickly becoming near and dear to your heart.
Yeah.
And I specifically title it conscious parenting, because there are so many incredible parents that we have, but there's also so many ridiculously lackluster parents who are just not present, right? And believe that their child should be raised by society, opposed to they should raise their child
Yeah.
for society. And I think it's a different perspective. My youngest is 11, and he just went to his first dance. He goes in all-boys school. They bust in girls, right, from a local all-girls school.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm looking at them. I think, oh my God, all the girls are taller than the boys,
Yeah.
And he leaves the dance. He gets 8 phone numbers.
Well, so we done all right then.
I was like, okay. I said, okay, I see you. So 8 phone numbers, right? But what I then proceed to see is how all of the boys, and I won't say all of the boys, I'll say some of the boys in that school, how they are likening the girls that they met to objects.
Yeah.
She's mine.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'll trade you her.
Yeah.
right? And you could begin to see the literal objectification
Yeah.
of girls/women at age 11. So I pulled him right there. I said,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about this. That's what I'm talking about in terms of conscious parenting. And what I find to be so interesting in that moment, and what I'm so proud of, is that he was willing to share that with us.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't share that with us, it would have been very hard to then
Yeah,
teach him
to
about
navigate it.
accountability. Yeah, navigate. So there's so many pieces, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. All right. So then you leave that relationship. You entered a healthy relationship. This is the relationship that you mentioned that allowed you to enter Love Island. You had we'll call it a kind of sort of relationship on Love Island the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really. I don't think he would call it that either. It was just one of them ones where we got together on the show and, we probably wouldn't have been massively compatible in real life, and we weren't. But we give it a go.
All right, fair.
Paul, your show sponsor Tinder wants to know, can you remember the very first spark you felt between you and Jill?
Absolutely. The first spark was the first time I saw her, which was from behind, to be honest with you. She was walking up ahead with her father. She turned around and I thought, oh my goodness, she looks like a model. Like she's perfect. And then what happened is, because we were in a summer program, we went to the class and Jill had the highest test score among our class. And I knew, wow, at that moment, that was it. She was beautiful. She was smart. That was the spark. That's all I needed. The spark is where it starts. It's like you're opening a new book. It is the beginning. And that's why the spark is so exciting and so beautiful. What's great about Tinder, it's the place that allows you to start the spark. And then you can carry that spark into real life where it matters most. So remember, it starts with a swipe. Download Tinder today. This is another person asking me for advice on their relationship, which is exactly why I created the Love Journal. This journal is a tool to better understand yourself and what you need in your relationship, to better understand your partner and what they truly need in the relationship, but more importantly, what you as a couple need in order to grow and strengthen the love you have. It is easy to understand, but more importantly, easier to execute. The more effort and time that you place, the more reward that you'll get. But as minimum as 10 minutes a week can change your relationship. You can get the Love Journal through the link in the description. So then what was the next relationship after that one from Love Island?
So I guess after Love Island, I went on the challenge, and the next relationship people would know about is my relationship with Stephen Bear.
Okay. So the challenge was a reality TV show?
Yeah.
Okay. And Stephen Bear was on the challenge.
All I knew about the challenge was that it's an American TV show, that loads of people do all these different challenges, and the winner at the end gets $1 million. But if you go on YouTube, it is insane. There's all these really big, butch, strong women in like gear that you would wear to a football game in America, just attacking each other.
Oh,
like
shoulder pads.
shoulder
man.
pads,
Yeah.
the lot. It's aggressive. And most of these girls look like bodybuilders. They train for this show. Like, I'm looking at it like, oh, I'm about that thin. I'm thinking, absolutely not. I'm like, do you know what? Again, as always, I'm like, Neil, we'll do the interview. And around this time, I've now bought my own flat at 21 in Loughton, which I was really proud of. And all thanks to Love Island. I literally, from being on Love Island for 2 weeks, made a deposit for my own home.
We have to spend 3 seconds on this.
Yeah.
How do you start generating revenue from being on Love Island for 2 weeks?
Just brand deals. As soon as I came out, I went from 60,000 followers to 800,000. So immediately I was just doing absolutely all of the work I can do and cashing it in. And I actually went back to my office as well. So I was working a full-time job at the same time as doing any sort of influencing work that I could on the side.
Okay.
Like, I was literally getting my makeup done for events in an office room that's meant to be booked out for like a CEO or something. I'm in there, like, getting my glam done. But I worked double hard for the next few months to try and buy my property.
Gotcha. And you must have been doing the PAs, the public appearances.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm curious, how much were you getting for a PA at that time?
I reckon £2,000 a go.
Okay. So you would show up, they would pay you $2,000 just to...
Just to get pissed. Literally.
Not bad.
Just to meet people. But at that stage, no one even really wanted to speak to me. I didn't care who it was. So I literally, there was no queue. I'll tell you that. But it was just a good time. Like,
This is wild.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
so I come outside my house as the whole thing with going on the challenge is starting to come around. And I see Bear pull up outside my front door. Like, literally, he's gone around the corner and he pulled up next to me because I was walking my dog. And he went, "You all right, Georgia?" Because we obviously sort of knew each other from the scene, like, of each other sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
"What are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, I live here. What are you doing here?" And he said, "Oh, I've just bought a house opposite." He was like, "Guess I'll be seeing you around then." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess you will." And within a week, I then went to go on the challenge and he was also on it. So he moves opposite me. And then the next thing I know, we're living together.
That's incredible.
A week later, yeah.
A week. So a week. So
A
he's
week or two later, yeah.
so he's on the show, and then immediately you two would just click.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we sort of got on straight away, yeah.
Okay. What do you think it was about him? And I ask that because at this point you had had the healthy relationship. You had been in situationships in and out, but I feel like you're evolving. Like
Yeah.
you're growing into this clued in woman,
Yeah.
right? So what was it about him that made you think, okay, this could be a partner?
Like I said, I always saw the best in everyone. So even my relationship that was healthy, I still hadn't been treated how I fully deserved. I wasn't treated badly, but he didn't want to show up for me. He didn't want to treat me like someone he'd want to be with for the rest of his life, like my current partner does. Like, it wasn't what I deserved still. So I don't think I'd ever fully had a completely whole relationship. And I still had this real issue of, looking at people and just seeing what they want me to see. And I just thought he was funny. I thought he was really kind. I would notice little things where I could see if someone was feeling left out, I'd see him go over and sort of make an effort. I thought he was really entertaining. I mean, I think a lot of people really did find him infuriating on that show. But for some reason, I just absolutely loved his energy. And when I was around him, I just felt really, really excited. You're also in the desert. We're in the desert for 8 weeks doing these mad, stunts, things that you couldn't even imagine, having to get carried on a crane above a canyon and just jump off, having to fight someone with a gum shield in the middle of the desert, proper whacking each other. It was like being in a movie. And it was only me, Bear, Theo, Ashley Kane and Zahida that were from London. So we were spending 24 hours a day together as a group, and we were having these experiences that really aren't normal.
Yeah. Yeah. I think these shows, this is also why so many relationships form.
Yeah.
People on these shows, because you're right, they're not normal. It's not normal circumstances. You're getting served everything that you want, everything that you need, but yet you are lonely to a certain extent. And so you have the closeness of whoever it is.
Yeah.
Right. So it seems like it was the circumstances that really pushed you two together.
Yeah, and it's easier I think it was easier for him to be a kinder person to me there because he needed me more. So I did probably see a different side to him because that is the side he was portraying during that time in our lives.
Mm. So things then changed once you left the show.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he left obviously, I'm not saying we were boyfriend and girlfriend, but we was very close on the show. We was together all the time. I thought we would have some sort of connection when we got out. By the time I got out, he was already in Vegas, putting videos up of strippers with their tits out and stuff like that. I found out he hadn't properly broken it off with his ex-partner like he'd said he had on the show towards the end of filming. So there was also that. It was just a realization of, he is a womanizer to a degree, but I still didn't think he was a really dangerous person.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I thought he was someone that was cheeky with women, whatever. I hadn't been with him for 3 years. It was I could get over it and I could still be in his company and still enjoy his company. I didn't realize that there was quite a darker side to his personality.
When did things turn?
There was a couple of incidences. So there was another time where we was filming together about a year later, and we were filming in Thailand at this point.
Okay.
I can't remember how long we were both in there for that time. I think he was 5 weeks. I was maybe 6 or 7 weeks. And then he went out first and then I came out, and everyone who came out just carried on traveling and like going around Thailand. So all of the cast kept meeting up with each other at different parts of Thailand and stayed for months. So it ended up me, my cousin, him and Theo meeting up. I think it was in Koh Samui, and immediately we started like acting like we were in a relationship again, like just being all over each other all day, like completely, he would act like he's besotted with you. He really would. And, I was someone that didn't know how to set boundaries around that. And I guess probably liked it a little bit because I liked being made to feel like I was important by someone. I don't know. And then we all decided we were going to book a trip to another part of Thailand, to a different island. We're now sharing a hotel room. So he's actually like got a bit of control over me at this point. And we went out that night, and immediately, as soon as we got out that night, first of all, I said, can I have the hotel room key? Because I just had a weird vibe of his energy. And he wouldn't give it to me. And his energy changed like I've never seen in a person. He literally acted like he did not know who I was. It was like the person I knew just drained out of him. And he was with some young girl all night, acting like I don't exist when I'm standing right there, staying in a hotel room with him. And I just thought, I'm just not going to let you see me feeling upset. Like, I'm just not going to have it. And I tried to get on with like my night. I think me and Theo went somewhere else to try and get me away from it. And, it went on and on all night, but I couldn't get into my room key. And I'd been bit by a monkey the day before. I thought I missed that bit out. I'd been bit by a monkey the day before, so I was on antibiotics. And then I think part of the reason he went so funny is because he thought I might have rabies.
This is a wild story.
This is a wild story. And I just wanted to get back into the hotel room to at least be able to get my antibiotics and have somewhere to stay. He completely ignored me for the rest of the night, locked me out of the hotel room, wouldn't let me in, and slept with another woman in it.
While you're outside banging on the door?
Yeah, while I'm trying to get in. I went and laid on a sunbed for a bit crying. And then in the end, I managed to find Theo and our other friend's room. And I was like, guys, like they're in a double bed anyway, 2 geezers. I'm like, can I come in? I'm crying. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I also didn't have any of my money or anything. That was all in the room. And it got to about 8 a.m. And he come rushing in the room and just acted like, are you okay? Where have you been? Like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. There wasn't a girl in my room. I acted like none of that had happened. And I was like, this is actually, because he knows I know that it just happened. And I was like, this is actually like not someone who's a normal person. Like, you've just switched between personalities so mad. And now suddenly that's like really cares about me.
Is that the first time that you saw such a drastic shift?
Yeah.
So is your thought now, okay, what, I need to distance myself from this guy?
I got the first boat out of there. And I went back to stay in my cousin's hotel room because she'd already left. And then I told him not to come near me. He got on another boat and then came into the hotel that I was in, soaking wet. Don't know why he was wet. I'm sorry, please speak to me. All of this. That there was a real showdown in the hotel room. And it was dramatic. Everyone was looking, everyone was filming it. It was so embarrassing. And I actually saw the girl who he took back to the room in reception as I was leaving. She had all love bites on her. She was only young. And I remember just thinking, I had a chat with her and I was like, she was like, oh, I didn't know you was with him. I said, listen, I'm not with him. I was standing in a hotel room with him, but you've done nothing wrong. You've just met him. And she was upset too because he'd thrown her out of the room after. And I realised he just actually had no empathy or regard for me at all whatsoever. And I swore to myself I would never go back with him again after that. And unfortunately, I did.
Oh my God. So how soon thereafter did you go back to him?
Oh, it was a long time.
Okay.
I think it had been about a year.
Okay.
Maybe a year and a half. I wouldn't even be friends with him. I wouldn't speak to him on set. Security used to have to put us into different rooms.
So you kept your distance for a year.
Yeah.
And what do you think led you back to him a year later?
I mean, first of all, he lived opposite me. I mean, for a while, he would always like turn up outside my house, like beeping the horn. Come on, George, stop being silly. Come outside. Like, and I don't know what made me go round his the morning of what happened. I'd been out the night before with Theo, and we'd been out really late that night. And I don't know if I was not feeling. I think maybe I was feeling a bit probably lonely at the time in terms of relationships. I was probably feeling a bit like I hadn't had anything with a spark for a long time. I'm now like hungover to hell, like not feeling great. And he's like, why don't you just come over for a cup of tea and like we'll just talk about things that have happened in the past or whatever. You know, I'm feeling rubbish, you are too. What's the worst that can happen? And I was on my own that day. I was about to spend like a whole day in bed watching, I don't know, depressing films or something. I thought I'll just go over there. And what started off as a cup of tea in my gym gear led to me then going to, like, he said, look, we'll go get the car wash. Let's just go get the car wash, his car. So I'm in my gym stuff. And then he pulled up outside a restaurant and was like, right, we're going for lunch. And then we've ended up drinking at lunch, but like a lot. He's ordering shots, like a lot was going on. We've ended up going back to his. It felt like a never ending day, but a day where, you know, I definitely thought he was unhinged, but entertaining. Like I was getting along well with him. It's someone I've been with in the past. There was definitely like still a bit of a connection there because obviously there always is when it's someone that you've had some form of a relationship with before. And I went back to his, and when we got back there, he was like, oh, should we go play cards in the garden like we used to? Because when we would be on the challenge, we would always play this card game.
Okay.
So it was like a thing of ours when we was on the show. And the cards were on a table in the garden. And it was a hot day and we was having a few more drinks. So I was like, yeah, go on. So we're playing cards. It's feeling all quite nostalgic. And that's when one thing led to another. And he initiated that we have sex. And we did then have consensual sex in what I thought was a private space. And it went on around his garden and a little bit in his kitchen, always positioned by him. And what I thought was just me sleeping with an ex, which I probably knew I would regret, let's have it right, but definitely not for the rest of my existence, actually turned out to be him filming us having sex. And, you know, the cards were in the place where the camera was. You can't see any of the cameras. They're all like, you know, right up at the top. Like, you know, like the ones that you wouldn't notice. You wouldn't be, if you weren't looking for them, you wouldn't know that they were there.
Can we unpack that? Because this blows my mind, right? This completely blows my mind because one is that you haven't had any communication with him for a year.
Yeah.
For a year. And then the first day that you do ends up being the day that your life changes forever. Literally changes forever. You have a day of hanging out, drinking, etc. And you mentioned you go into this garden, you have consensual sex, but it's being recorded. You don't know this, but it's being recorded. So is it being recorded by him on cameras that he has set up?
Yeah. But he hasn't set them up for that intention. They're CCTV cameras that he owns, that he obviously has recording all the time, that I wasn't aware of that he had. So he hadn't put the camera there for me to be there. He had the cameras already. He placed me in front of them.
Okay.
Knowing I knew, I wasn't aware that they were there.
So you were intentionally placed in front of these cameras?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
And you then have sex.
Yeah.
Do you leave?
No, so obviously I've still had quite a bit to drink. I think I'm in a safe space. And then he just goes, I've just realised some of that might have been caught on my cameras, and acted like it was a complete mistake. And I'm like, what do you mean you've just realised? So I'm now completely paranoid. I'm like, I want to see what's on that footage. So he gets it up. I can't remember what device he got it up on. and he shows me like all of these CCTV things, and he rewinds it and he shows me what he's got. And he goes, I promise you no one's ever going to see it. It was a complete mistake. So then I started going into one because I'm now like, you've obviously done this on purpose. People are going to see it. Like, how am I going to feel? The more I started getting upset about it, then he was almost getting like angry. Like, oh, why do you think that I would do that on purpose? Like, who do you think you are? I've had so many famous girlfriends. Do you really think if I was going to do this to someone, it would be you? Do you know what I mean? And then I started saying, I would call the police if you done this, and it wouldn't just ruin you. It wouldn't just ruin me, it would ruin you as well. Like, you will go to prison for this. I was very clear about that. And, he started speaking like he'd seen sense and like he understood the severity of what would happen if he had another copy of that video and if he sent it anywhere.
Okay, so you were asking specifically for him to delete
Yeah.
what he had.
Yeah.
And was he saying, yes, I will delete it, or just...
Yeah,
I'll
no,
send it to-"
it was I will delete it. Like, no one's ever going to see it. I didn't want it to even exist in the first place.
So he doesn't delete it.
No.
But when you left, did you believe that he had?
I stayed that night.
You stayed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believed it, but I believed that he wouldn't be that stupid. Like, I believed not that he would protect me. I genuinely believed that he would know exactly what would happen if he did that. I mean, there was no way people weren't going to recognise me from that video. There was no way he wasn't going to get caught. I just believed that he'd done something that was definitely creepy, but maybe was some sort of a sick personal kick that he got out of it. I never for a second dreamed he would actually go on to sell something like that on the internet. I just didn't think he would do that.
So then at what point do you learn that he's being nefarious with the video?
So about 3 months later, so we're still at this point now, people that get on well, like we see each other out. I went to one of his events. Like, I've just put it down to a ridiculous drunk mistake that has been swept under the carpet and had no ill intention. That's how I've had to look at it in my mind. And that's how I thought it was, because I hadn't heard about it at all. Then I was at mine with a few people, having some drinks at mine. And my best friend at the time had a boyfriend, and the boyfriend came in the house like white as a ghost. And he was like, I need to tell you something. And we're like, what? Like, look like such a big deal. And he dragged me into the kitchen, and I thought it was really weird for him to do that. We didn't have that sort of relationship. Like, he wanted to speak to just me, like my best friend's boyfriend. It was just really weird. And he said, I've just been with one of the boys who have said that Bear has shown them a video of you and him in a sexual act. Obviously, I don't know if he didn't know if I'd been involved in it, if it was something that was consensual. And as soon as he told me that, I was like horrified, because that now meant that he was showing people it was something that he was using to literally show off around men within his circle.
Right.
But the boy didn't want to say who told him. And he, what men are like, that he didn't want me to say anything. Nobody wanted me to kick off because it was going to have implications on other people.
Right.
But I was absolutely horrified that night, and I thought I'd sleep on it. And the next day, I thought I've got two options. I call the police or contact his family, because I've made it implicitly clear to him, don't do it. Yeah.
So you chose...
I chose to call one of his family members, and I explained everything that he'd done. And it was someone I knew he looked up to and someone I knew he would listen to, or thought he would. And they said that they're going to, and I had all of this in, that my initial reach out was on Instagram. So I had all of this in text, which was really helpful when it came to my court case, because it showed that I'd made a clear plea prior to this becoming a bigger thing. It was concrete evidence, whereas everything else had been verbal.
Right.
I wasn't really thinking about that at the time, but no, they then spoke to me on the phone, said that they spoke to him. He denied all of it, but that he understands how serious it is, that they'd sat him down, that they'd explained what would happen if this went any further, and that I didn't have anything to worry about anymore, and that was it. And I believe that he would listen to people from his family.
Okay.
But I actually think his mental state was really slowly getting worse around that time. And I don't think by the end of it he cared about anyone. I think he was in complete and utter self-destruct mode by the time the video went to the internet. But yeah, that was my last attempt. My biggest regret is not calling the police there and then, because they might have been able to see some footage. And I think for any victims going through the same thing, don't question it. Don't give them a chance. Don't feel sorry for them. Call the police.
Call the police.
Get them round there, and just do what you can to stop it before it gets bigger than you can control.
So he's showing this video
Mm.
to people who you know.
Yeah.
And he's sitting down. I mean, now that you know in hindsight, it's like, what was he doing? He was literally like, hey,
Yeah.
look at this video. All right. And is he sending it to people as well?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. But he's actually showing.
them.
So is that the showing, is that qualified as revenge porn?
I don't think so. I think only the distribution.
The distribution.
Mm.
Wow. So he was within then his legal rights?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
He owns the copyright to that video.
Even though he filmed it without your consent?
Well, no, then that's still voyeurism.
Okay.
But showing it, I don't think comes under a law. The filming of it was voyeurism.
Okay.
So filming me in a sexual act without my consent was breaking the law as well.
That's breaking the law. Okay.
Yeah.
Breaking the law, as I've done my research, breaking the law in the UK.
Yeah.
Not in many other countries.
No.
Which is mad.
Mad.
I mean, even in the United States.
And it happens a lot.
Yeah. All right. So he's showing the video. He's breaking. So at that point, there's a law. There's a voyeurism law.
Yeah.
Is there? Okay. But I would imagine the sentence is not significant
No.
around that. So he's doing that. Then when does he distribute the video?
And I was at a pool party in Dubai, and I literally will never forget it. I opened my phone and there's this account that is a really big fan of the challenge, the show that we've been on. And they're always posting challenge updates. So they probably follow all of the challenges, social media accounts, OnlyFans accounts, whatever accounts they have. And it was just a screenshot of the video. And I knew the guy that sent it was based in America. So immediately, the second I saw it, I was just like, I'm done. Like, this is on the internet. It's global. So he hasn't just sent it to someone in Essex who I found out about. It's not in a WhatsApp group. This is on the internet. And I went straight back to the guy and I was like, you need to find out where this is. And somehow his account got taken down, the person that told me. So now all I've got is one screenshot and no other evidence at all. And I don't know how I'm ever going to find it. I'm not talking to him, to Bear, because there's no reasoning with him. He doesn't care whatsoever. He's had so many warnings. I'm no way am I wasting my breath there anymore. I'm like, I now need to start collating evidence and I need legal action. So I grieved for quite a bit. Like, my friends had to take me home. I was crying. I was like having panic attacks. I was trying to figure out in my head who to tell first, who I had to tell first, what family members I need to break the news to before all of their friends find out. Do you know what I mean? I was feeling really like ashamed of myself, and I really felt like I'd let my family down. I felt like I'd let myself down. I felt like I'd given off an impression of myself as a really promiscuous person when I'm not. I felt like I was misrepresented by that video, and I felt like there was going to be a stigma on me for the rest of my life from that second. And I also felt really like hurt that he had done that to me, that he could be so evil to go ahead and, after all of the time I'd spent with him, crush me in the way that he did.
He did, yeah. So what did you then do? Because you're grieving, but you still now have to do something. You have to act. So what did you do?
So I basically put an Instagram story up saying, if anyone has seen a video of me and Bear in his garden, please send it to this email address. And as soon as I put that story up, within 24 hours, we had like 100 people sending links. It had been on OnlyFans for over a month without me knowing, without them knowing. it had been on Pornhub, and that was the link that was circulating massively because that was the link that you didn't have to subscribe to. It was the sendable link that had been copied from his OnlyFans, and it was just everywhere. But people that knew and had seen it saw my Insta story and then started sending it more. It almost caused it to ignite. So it wasn't just the evidence that ignited, its notoriety ignited, and then people were just sending it everywhere. And my phone was just going ping, 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 ping of people saying, you know, it wasn't the evidence folder anymore. It was friends, family, acquaintances, exes, you name it. Have you seen this? Have you seen this? I've been sent this. I've been sent this. And it just went absolutely wild. Like, I had something like 72 million impressions on my Instagram.
72 million.
Yeah. Over that course of that week. You know, when you look on your insights. And during the same time, he upped his subscription price on OnlyFans from like, I don't know what the original price was, really low, to £50. Because suddenly he had a surge of people signing up to his OnlyFans to look for this video that I think was no longer there at this point anyway. But instead of being at home, remorseful, ashamed, worried for what his life may now equate to, he was still looking for an extra pound note.
Yeah, that is absolutely, I mean, that's diabolical.
Yeah.
It's diabolical. So did he start the OnlyFans specifically to distribute your video?
It was after the video was filmed. He wasn't an OnlyFans star before. When we were together and when the video was filmed, he wasn't an OnlyFans star.
So he films a video, creates an OnlyFans.
But I think he was doing other content on there as well. Yeah.
But this video lands on that.
Yeah.
And it was up for, you said, a month.
Yeah.
So he's monetizing the video.
Yeah, he actually put a screenshot of it up on like the main OnlyFans bit where you don't have the subscription, where you can just look at them. And it said, you can watch this slag get shagged in my garden for 50% off this week. Something along those lines. On his verified account.
On his verified account?
Yeah.
Now, this is clearly revenge porn because he's distributed.
Yeah.
So without the proof of intent, then it's not qualified as revenge porn?
No. But now it is, because I've campaigned and changed the law on that.
But prior to?
Prior to that, yeah. Prior to that, you had to prove that the person intended to harm you. But it's like, if I punched you in the face, Paul, you wouldn't have to prove that I intended to harm you. It's a harmful act, and sending a video around of someone in a sexual act without their permission is a harmful act. There's no one in the world that's not going to be upset by that.
You probably, I mean, you know these numbers probably better than anyone. How many people are in this position where they're facing revenge? Would it be called a revenge porn act?
Image-based sexual abuse.
An image-based
sexual abuse.
Sexual abuse. How many people are facing that?
Thousands. So many more than the statistics would say. Like, I still have like 3 to 5 women every day messaging me, telling me that they're going through it, but they're not just going through it with actual footage of themselves. They're now dealing with the fake images as well, which is so realistic.
Yeah. And you said women. I would imagine this disproportionately happens to women.
It's mainly women.
Yeah. And it's mainly men who are the perpetrators of this.
And a lot of it is used within domestic abusive relationships to blackmail people into staying.
I see. So it's this whole idea of, if you leave, I'm going to release this.
Yeah.
So therefore, stay and I won't release it.
Yeah.
My God. So you were, in terms of your case against Bears, you were collecting evidence. Did you have a lawyer at this point?
You just get given a lawyer by the CPS because you're a victim. So you don't get to meet your barrister till the day.
Really?
You get no legal support up until the day, apart from when you're speaking to the police. But the police are also impartial, you know.
So you're doing this all on your own? Collecting evidence?
With my mum.
With your mom?
Yeah.
But
And there was one lady called Michelle Roycroft, who's a really good family friend of mine now. She came into my life along the journey. She's an ex-police officer, and she helped me so much.
Gosh, I mean,
the evidence.
And your mom in particular is the MVP here.
Yeah.
What is that conversation like?
Just, she felt so sorry for me. You know, she just kept telling me that I have nothing to be ashamed of. She was just angry.
Yeah.
She was so angry, and she just wanted to do everything she could to make him pay. She was very reassuring that, you know, it was going to be okay. We were going to get it taken down. But, you know, Pornhub, they're not the sort of company that answer you at all. OnlyFans took it down pretty quick. But
They did. Okay.
yeah, but Pornhub just pretty much irresponsive. I eventually did get it taken down, but it took days and it was a really accessible link. So I found that tough as well, that, you know, platforms were still not responding to victims in the way that they should have, especially these other platforms. Some of them just never respond, the less big ones. That was really frustrating because I thought it would be a lot easier. OnlyFans were very helpful in the court case, actually, in convicting him and providing the relevant information to ensure that he did get convicted.
Okay. Let's talk about that case, because that case now is changed the law.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think has firmly made you an activist, you know, firmly. So that case, your thought going in was what? Was that you just wanted the video down? You wanted him to pay? What was your objective?
I mean, I'd had a really tough time in the lead up to the case. My best friend died. Then the case got moved a year. Then 6 months later, in between that year, my ex-boyfriend died in a car crash. And then 6 months later, I had to walk into the court case. So there was a time where I didn't think I would be mentally able to do it, because I'd completely and utterly just had a mental breakdown by the stage of the most recent loss. By the time it got to the court case, I'd managed to build my strength up just enough to get in there. And all I wanted to do was just prove that he was a liar. And I think I had so many fears leading up to it, because I knew he was a good liar, of how he might act, how he might portray himself, how he might walk in there and act like this really amazing guy and have this really well-contrived story to try and make me look like I was lying.
I didn't realize that your friend had passed during that time. So your friend was with you when the case was beginning,
Yeah,
and I'm sure supporting you.
very.
Was your right hand. So how did you feel going into the case without your best friend?
I felt like he was there. I felt like he was there and he was telling me to be strong, and I felt like I was doing it in his memory because I knew how much he wanted me to take him down.
Okay. So that gave you more gusto
Yeah,
to go in there.
yeah,
Okay.
definitely. More ability to stay focused and feel like you're doing it for a higher purpose.
Okay. He was your angel.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So you went into that case. And when I see, you know, looking at the research, when I see the images, Stephen Barry, he showed up in a rented Rolls Royce, fur coat, gold cane.
Yeah.
What was the point of all that?
I don't know, but I just felt absolutely relieved when he done it, because all of my fears of the person he made pretend to be dissipated in that moment, because he literally turned up looking as he is, which is like a sex offender.
I mean, I don't understand. Like, I'm trying to understand why would you?
I think he'd been allowed for so long to be this awful, horrible character on all different sorts of TV shows and still come out on top and praised. It didn't matter what he done, people still loved him. And in his head, he thought, I'm going to make as big of a laugh of this as possible, as big as a spectacle of this as possible. I'm going to get away with it, and everyone's going to think I'm a complete legend.
All right. Well, that didn't happen.
No.
Didn't happen. So you go into court, and now you mentioned that you're just assigned the public defender.
Yeah, barrister. Yeah.
Barrister. You're assigned that just day of,
Yeah.
which is wild.
Yeah.
So how long is the actual the proceedings?
Oh, I mean, I think they went on for 4 or 5 days, but I had to give evidence, I reckon, for altogether like 5 hours.
Okay.
Do you know, it's really scary. Like you immediately start panicking even though you're telling the truth, because you're in such a strange environment. You're in front of 12 people who you're trying to like plead a case to. And there's booklets, and they each have a booklet, and I have an evidence booklet. And like for one part of it, I had to flip through each part of the booklet, and it would be me in a different sex position each time. in the video having to confirm, is this you? Yes. Is this you? Yes. And they're going through it at the same time. And, you know, that's so embarrassing as it is. And it just, you know, I knew I had the upper hand throughout my witness statement because I was telling the truth. And I knew that I was right, and I knew that everyone could tell that I was right no matter what was thrown at me. But I was still hurt and shocked by the things that were used to say could be a reason that it wasn't him.
Right. So you knew you were right, but did you believe you would win?
Yeah. I believed I would win.
Right.
Like, he didn't have a leg to stand on, but for some reason he really thought he did, and still seems to believe he does.
Yeah. But, you know, to your point, image-based sexual abuse, only 4% are convicted.
Yeah.
So 96% walk free.
Yeah. I meet so many women that put themselves out there to seek justice and don't get it. And it's so awful on my journey to have to deal with that.
And talking about the prevalence is 1 out of 14 adults in England and Wales have experienced a threat to share intimate images.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned, and it's probably much higher.
I would say so.
Yeah, than that. So you had nothing to win but what? Your dignity.
Yeah. Yeah, all I had to win was, well, actually, I had my whole career was hanging in the balance, to be honest.
It was.
Yeah.
Well, so how so?
Because it had already been massively affected by the tape. I've been dropped by a lot of brands that I used to work with. You know, many of them obviously didn't put that in writing, but they did say off the record that, you know, it just wasn't a good vibe for the brand, which is fair. There's loads of influencers out there. Why should they have one that's got this sex tape going around as the face of their brand? It really did affect my work. And if I had then been called a liar after all of that, I just don't think there would have been anywhere to go for me within my industry. I never would have shaken off that stigma.
Did you contemplate that at all?
I tried not to let it come into my mind. Like, I tried to keep completely positive that I was going to be okay and I was going to win because, like I said before, you have to believe that you are the person. And if I let myself fear too much what could go wrong, I don't think I would have had the strength to relay my witness statement in the way that I did as someone that I knew would win in this case.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely seem to be convicted that you were going to win.
Yeah.
Right. But I can also feel, even as you're talking, I can feel how there was so much pressure
So much.
on you, right? Everything was riding on this case. And then this guy's walking in, almost mocking you,
Yeah.
you know, in it. And then on social media, because, you know, you'd spent a lot of your earlier career building up social. So what were people messaging you? What was the buzz on your socials?
I always still now get like a lot of abuse about him, about the situation. Like, often people are still looking for the video and writing links underneath about where it is. I think when it was really rife, like, I couldn't go on live without just the whole thing being like, I would do a live with a company and every comment would just be abuse about that situation. And it changed the way that I did show up on social media. Like, I started getting judged for wearing bikinis, stuff like that. I couldn't do that then, because if I posted a picture like I would do before, like obviously not a really seedy one, like something classy for a nice brand, people would write things like, oh, so it's not okay to have this sex tape out, but it's all right to be like that, you know, like judging me for doing things that I'd always done and basically saying I deserve to have a sex tape if I'm willing to show my body in a bikini online. And, you know, those things they make me sort of censor what I post.
Yeah. Did you even censor how often you would go out in public?
I think at first, yeah, it was really, really overwhelming because all anyone was speaking about was that video. Like, everywhere I would go, people were whispering about it in the gym. You know, people were always talking. It's all anyone spoke to me about. Like, even now when I go out, I still get like the odd person come over to me and talk to me about it a lot. And, you know, when you're in a situation like what we're doing now, and it's going to make a difference, if I'm campaigning, if I'm in Parliament, it's something that I, of course, want to speak about because it's an important story that helps shape society and happens to so many people. But if I'm having a pint down the local pub, I don't want Tim from, you know, Bucker Steel to come over and be like, oh, weren't you that girl that had that video with Bear? Like, it can completely destroy my mood on that evening and change the way I'm feeling. And that's something that I deal with still. But then it was continuous. It was all consuming.
Yeah. So then tell me about the day that you won.
It was a really, really emotional moment. Like, my mum and dad split up when I was 2, and they never had a good relationship growing up. Like, my mum loved me very much, so did my dad. My dad went on to meet my stepmom, but we never had a family environment where we could all sort of be in the same room together, and things were, you know, people weren't like fighting on the doorstep, but it was just off energy.
Yes.
And there was something about this court case that brought my whole family together, and they really band together to come and sit through the court case throughout. I wasn't always there, but always either my dad, my mum, or my stepmom and other people were there. And on the day of the verdict, I had my dad on one side, my mum on the other side holding my hand, my stepmom holding my dad's hand, you know, my friends all really close to me. And I was so scared that I wasn't going to get the verdict that I deserved, because I wasn't even going to come out to the courtroom. And my barrister came in the holding room. I was going to let them come out and tell me, because I couldn't bear to have him watch me lose if I did. And they come in and they were like, look, we really think you're going to win. Like, I think you're going to really regret it if you don't come out for this verdict. And you don't really know what the judge is going to say at first. And then he just started to really relay to him, whilst he was standing there, all of the things I'd felt, and like all of the experiences I'd had to go through, and all the way it had affected my life before he actually gave him the guilty verdicts. And I felt so heard and so vindicated, and all of my family were crying and were supporting me, and like it just felt like such a unreal moment of like victory. And I just felt so grateful for everyone who'd been a part of that journey. And I remember just looking at the jury and just being like, thank you. Like, because, you know, these people don't know me, and they have just saved my life.
They had. They had. And also, I think I can almost visualize your family all there.
Yeah.
Was that the first time that your family from both sides, in essence, had come together?
Yeah. And we all went like out for a drink after, because I'm still filming my documentary at this point. So I filmed a little bit after, and then all of the family went together for a drink. My driver, my documentary team, my friends, my family. And it was like, I just can't believe that's it. Like, it's over.
Yeah. So what is the verdict exactly that came down?
He was guilty on 3 charges altogether. They ran concurrently, and altogether he got 21 months.
21 months.
Which is the highest that you can get for what he done.
Look at that. Were you there for the sentencing?
Yeah, I was there for the sentencing.
All right.
I had to give a victim statement.
All right. How did that feel? And how did he appear to you, knowing that he was now going to be punished severely?
He kept pretending to fall asleep in the dock whilst I was talking, whilst the judge was talking. And when I got up to give my victim statement, he kept shouting things out at me. So I was talking about obviously how it had affected me. And then he was saying things like, well, I would have apologised, but I've got a restraining order. And things like that, like just sort of heckling me. There was a load of young boys that came in, had to be thrown out. It was all like a bit of a song and dance. He turned up, I think, in a tracksuit. Like, it was just all really offensive, but also it felt really good to sit there, because up until then I'd just been given evidence.
Right.
I hadn't been saying how I felt, and I got to actually really openly say how I felt, not just to him, because I don't think he listens, but to his friends and family who had supported him through this. I really wanted them to hear what they deep down knew, you know, and that felt really good to me. Like, ever since then, my life's definitely got better, but now I'm at the best place I've ever been in my entire life. Like, I'm so happy I don't actually believe my reality is mine still.
Wow. All right, we have to talk about how you got to that place.
Yeah.
But in particular, though, if we can talk about your activism around the revenge porn legislation, right? Because until your work, the laws were different.
Yeah.
As we're saying.
I went on GMB the day after my court case, the next morning.
Okay.
And Ed Balls was the presenter. And I told him about this issue and how I thought it needed to change. And as soon as the cameras cut, he come up to me in my dressing room and was like, I'm going to put you in touch with the right members of Parliament to make this happen. And he put me in touch with Caroline Noakes, and she made it happen.
Okay.
So between them both, they managed to get it to the top.
Okay. So it was, you were the voice
Yeah.
to get it to the top. So now your work, in addition to many, have now changed the legislation.
Yeah.
But from my research, I see that there's many countries, China, Japan, India, the United States of America, who do not have these same laws in place, which means that there are many people, disproportionately many women, who are having to suffer in silence.
Yeah.
So what do you think needs to be done globally? And what can we all do to support these laws changing?
I think world leaders should come together and make sure that these things are implemented across the board. And there's still things that need to change. So, for instance, with the image-based sexual abuse law, I only found out recently that there's a 6-month window on that. So if you don't report it within 6 months of the offence actually happening, then you can't get justice.
Oh, my goodness.
But I only found out a few months after the offence went onto the internet that it had happened. So I was very close to not having the right to justice. And for some women, they won't find out for like a year, 2 years down the line.
Exactly, because they're not being told.
No, my face was recognisable, so it got to me quicker. But for some people, they won't know for a long time. So I don't think there should be a time limit on this law at all. That's something that needs to change. And then obviously we have the rise of deepfakes, which is just as painful for people, because especially when you're in school, I've met a lot of young women, when these pictures go round of them, you know what kids are like. Like, they want to believe the rumours, they want to believe excitement, they don't listen. So girls are made out to be liars, and even when it isn't their body, they're shunned and they have a stigma on their name for a picture or a video that wasn't even them, that you can make for free on any app right now just by Googling like an undress me app on the internet. It's so easy.
Let's talk about this, because deepfakes, one is, this is a topic that directly connects to revenge porn.
Yeah.
You've done a documentary, right, on the space. And it's something that my wife and I talk about quite often, because in this research, I saw 50% of children between the ages of 8 to 15 have seen at least one deepfake online in the last 6 months.
That's wild.
That's mad. That's mad. Those are my kids,
Yeah.
literally 11 and 14. So specifically, when you think about a deepfake, what is, for everyone who doesn't know, what is a deepfake?
Well, a deepfake is an image or a video that's been made by AI. And, you know, that can be in any sort of a context. But when it comes to my work, I work with pornographic deepfakes. So it'll be when they take a picture of you. So they take, for instance, your head off of a picture, and then they put it onto a naked body. And this is on an app that you can do this. So you could take a picture off of any girl. Like, you take it off her Facebook, you take it off the school walls, you take it off anywhere. With the click of a button, it will show her naked. It will show her tied up. It will show her in some disgraceful sexual acts that I wouldn't even want to lower your podcast by talking about. And all of that can be for free. And then on the more high-tech deepfakes, you can actually show someone in an actual porn video where it looks like they're having visual sex.
That they're in the act. And how prevalent is this? Because I know that when you did your doc, were you shocked to know how many deepfakes there are that exist with your face?
Yeah. I was shocked. I was shocked that there's actually pages out there of me with my pictures, my normal pictures, and next to it, it will say deepfake, deepfake, deepfake. So it's literally enticing people to deepfake me. And I was actually more shocked by how many normal women are being affected by it, to be honest. So when you go onto the forums, a lot of it are men like, you know, this bitch dumped me, can you deep fake her? And they'll put a picture up of her. My sister, can you deep fake my stepsister? Like, I saw some really dark stuff on the web. And then there's these people that come together and help make the deep fakes better. And it's happening to a lot of normal girls. And I think, you know, yeah, the videos are concerning, but it's the more B-tech pictures, you know, just the like selfies in the mirror that they turn into a naked picture that for me are more damaging, because they are so believable. And most of these girls that are on these forums probably don't even know that people are looking at these pictures. And, you know, it's either only created to either embarrass a woman,
Yes.
to have control over a woman, or to get revenge against a woman. There is no goodness in these apps, and most of them are only made for the female body. They're not made for males.
To this point, 99% of all nude deepfakes created are women and girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. So, Georgia, what do we do?
I just think it comes under the power of the government now, and the government are obviously bringing in new legislation. They've said that deepfake is now illegal, but we need to see that implemented within the big porn platforms, within the internet as a whole. So whoever is facilitating this sort of technology needs to be held accountable. And I think we need to start seeing fines. We need to start seeing prison time. If you own one of these platforms, you're breaking the law. And the sooner people are held accountable for that, the sooner people will stop doing it and they'll find other ways to make money. Right now, they think it's easy, they think it's quick, and they think they'll get away with it because so far everybody has. So you need to go to the top because, you know, you can't blame these individuals. You can't blame these 14-year-old boys who are like having a bad relationship and using these apps. They're kids. Yeah. Some of them are kids. Like, you have to blame these people that are making this technology. And at the moment, I'm just not seeing enough happening there. I know Ofcom have been brought on board to do it, but I still haven't seen any of these tech giants on the steps of a courtroom yet. I haven't seen any consequences.
So what do we do to protect our sisters or our nieces, or, you know, how do we protect our loved ones? You know, and I understand legislation needs to happen, but what can we do to protect our loved ones?
From deepfake, there's not a lot you can do. Like, you can not share your image, but, you know, people want to be a part of social media. It is a part of so many people's lives. You know, one thing that Australia have implemented is the banning of social media for under 16s. And I do think that would be a positive thing. Like, you know, I'm sure my younger followers will literally be like hating me for saying that. But like, unfollow, exactly. But I think if everyone didn't have it, then it wouldn't be something that you felt you were missing out on if it was something that you weren't a part of. And I think during your school years, like, social media is so damaging. Like, if I had a row with one of the girls at school, or if someone was bullying me for my psoriasis, for instance, I would go home, cry for half hour with my mum, and then forget about it, you know? Put on Nickelodeon or something, we move. Now, it carries on. Like, people have access to you. They are able to abuse you 24/7 as a teenager. You are not safe. You have no bubble that you go back to anymore because of social media. And then you also have these sick people out there that are taking children's pictures and making them sexualized. And it's like, maybe that can wait until you're old enough to be able to cope with it.
To put those images. What worries you the most about deepfakes?
Just that they'll get completely out of control, and not just like the pornographic side, like the propaganda side, the fact that someone could make a video of me saying something that I would never say, like completely immoral, completely disgusting, something that could ruin my whole career. And I would have to go for a court case to prove it wasn't me. Like, we're going to get to a time where these deepfakes have so much power that you can make them do or say anything and they'll be completely believable. So they need to be regulated, just like things are regulated in reality. And it's just like anything, you know, there was a time where lots of things weren't illegal and people didn't understand that they were dangerous. You know, there was lots of drugs that probably weren't illegal for a very long time. People had to understand the damage. We now understand as a society the damage. It's time to move quicker on the prevention of that damage.
We have to do this for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, because you think about this, an MBE is what you were just awarded.
Yeah.
All right. So what is, for the Americans out here, right, what is an MBE?
So you're a member of the British Embassy. No, there's another word in it.
Empire.
No, but it's a member of the British Empire, but there's another one.
It's order.
Yeah, member of the Order of the British Empire.
Yes.
It's just for having really contributed in a big way for your country, which is wild to think that I have been recognised in such an honourable way.
It's huge because when I got here, I would see everyone's name with the MBE, And I would say, what is that? So literally, your name now is Georgia Harrison MBE.
Yeah.
So is that it? That's your title now?
Yeah.
Wherever you go,
Wherever I go, yeah.
for however long you're going.
Yeah.
Right. How does that feel, though, to be given what is one of the highest honors in this country?
It just feels still like not even real. I feel so grateful. And, it feels like really rewarding because sometimes campaigning work can feel like you're doing tireless work and people don't really realize how hard it is or how often you're doing it or what sort of energy it takes. So to know that someone in the government has recognized me for what I'm doing and given me an honor that big, it's life changing. And I feel so just imposter syndrome to even think about it. Like, yeah, of course. Like, it's just massive.
All right. So then let's talk about the man.
Yeah.
The man. So clearly you've gone through a lot of different types of relationships in your life, but you're in one, what I believe is a very healthy relationship. So let's look at, in particular, how you met Jack.
So funnily enough, met you at a Tinder event, didn't I? I actually met Jack on an online dating app. And that's why I am such an advocate for these dating apps. Like, I really, really am. I think they're a great way of meeting people and of, actually going somewhere with a purpose. So I'd been off for Love Island All Stars, I think for about 6 months maybe.
Okay.
And I was just like, this is it now. Like, I just want to meet someone. Like, if I can put myself out there on national television and go on a load of random dates, why can't I go on a dating app? Like, I spend every Sunday sitting on the sofa with my best friend talking about where we could go to meet some guys or whatever. Even when we do go out, like, in the hopes of, like, meeting the one, we just spend the whole time with each other. Like, it's not very often that I meet someone on a night out. So I was just done. I was ready to meet someone and I decided to set up as many dates as possible. And I was like, I'm just going to go have a laugh. Like, I'm either going to meet someone that I fancy, make a new friend, or meet someone that could, maybe help me within business. They're all just new opportunities. And if they're not, I'll block them. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they really freak me out, I'll just block them.
Yeah.
I have that option, There's no, like, they're not going to move in. Like, it's not a big deal. I might get rejected or things might not go the way that they're supposed to go. But if you don't turn up for the interview, you're never going to get the job.
Wow.
And the first date that I went on was with him. And he literally, I think we messaged like hardly at all. He was like, I don't really like talking. Let's just go for a drink. I was the second date he'd gone on that app. And we just got along really, really well. And I cancelled all the others. I never ended up going on any of the others. I was quite busy at the time anyway with my documentary. But yeah, I knew he was someone that I would get along with on our first date. But I don't think it was until like my 5th date that I realised that like I really liked him.
Okay.
And I don't reckon it was until like probably 3 or 4 months in that I actually believed he was gonna stick around, basically.
It took 3 months.
Yeah, at least.
Why do you think it took 3 months?
Because I was just so damaged by my other relationship experiences. Like, he would go to me, he'd say, I'm not going anywhere. Like, he'd say stuff like that for on a date, like out on a date, like, I'm here to stay. And I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Or like when he first come to meet my friends and family, it was to watch Celebrity SAS, the final. And
that you were on?
Yeah, that I was on. And he was like supporting me. It was still quite early on-ish, but a couple of months in. And then I was like, oh, this is Jack. We're dating, sort of. And like, that's how I introduced him. And my friends were like, why have you just said it like that? And I had so many walls up. I didn't want to say like, this is Jack and we're together and, I quite like him, because I was so convinced that after a few months, I was just going to be love bombed and this couldn't be as good as it really was. But actually it was.
Yeah. What was the moment that you knew he was a keeper? And when I say keepers, he was not going to leave you.
Oh, probably around January time. We went to Colombia together for 3 weeks. And our relationship was so strong. And that's when I knew like we had something really special. And I knew he really, really liked me. And, you know, we've been talking about moving in together. And that's when I started believing that it was real. But I don't think it was until I was pregnant that I was like, there's no way he's ever going anywhere now.
But he can still go, though.
I know. No, I reckon it was around the Columbia time.
I have another surprise for you.
God, what?
You'll like this.
Really?
Yeah, you're going to love this one. Ready?
I'm just sending you a message to let you know how proud I am of you. How proud I am of everything you've done, your story. I know I wasn't around for a lot of it, but I will be around for the rest of it. You're inspiration to me, you're an inspiration to so many others. What you've achieved, your MBE, everything is testament to you. I see it every day. You're pushing boundaries. Your energy is infectious, and I can't wait to support you for the rest of your life. It's insane how much I love you. You're going to be the best mum, and yeah, this is just a tiny little stepping stone on the rest of your journey. Very proud of you, babe.
Oh, honestly, Paul, like,
Message to let you know how
I just love him so much. Like, I can't put into words how much he's changed my life. Like, he's changed me completely as a person. He's made me love myself in ways I never thought I could. And he's like, he supports me through everything. I waited my whole life for someone to treat me the way he treats me.
Yeah. What does it feel like to be loved?
It just feels incredible. Like I just feel like happy all the time. I feel like more motivated. I feel more proud of myself. And I just feel like I'm with my best friend every day.
You know what? By the way, there's tissues
Thank
over there.
you.
You got.
'Cause I
know
knew
what?
you'd do this to me.
You know what I love so much about this video
What?
is this is a person who is proud.
Yeah.
He's proud of
So
you.
proud of me.
You know, and you think about that as the opposite of someone who wants to shrink you.
Yeah.
And it shows you that you're in a healthy relationship, because the unhealthy is, how can I make you small so that you're dependent on me?
Yeah.
The healthy is, how can I support you so you can grow and evolve into the most incredible person possible?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he's trying to do.
Always. Honestly, I think he's my soulmate. I know he's my soulmate.
You know, I think it's so special too that you two are having a baby.
I know.
Isn't that?
It's so good.
Isn't that?
Yeah.
How do you feel about motherhood?
I'm excited. Like, I've always wanted to be a mum.
Have you?
I've always had it in me that I want to be a mum. It's something I've always said to my friends, you know, only obviously with the right partner at the right time, but it's something I've always wanted for my life.
What are you most looking forward to, but also what are you most fearful of?
I'm most looking forward to just being a family, like looking at something that's 50% me and 50% him, to actually, you know, having those moments of like serenity when you've got the baby at home and, you know, everything's peaceful and you're just even more in love than you were before. And I'm most fearful of just, you know, the complete life change that I'm about to go through. Like, I know that parenting is hard.
Yes.
It is, as I've been told, one of the hardest things you'll ever do, but one of the most rewarding things you'll ever do. And I think, you know, we've had our fun. Like, Jack's been a party boy when he was younger. I've been a party girl. We've done everything we wanted to do. We've travelled. We've had so many experiences, and this is the right time for that stage in our life. So even if it is going to get hard, like, I know I've got the right support around me, not just with him, like with my mum. Like, I'm incredibly lucky with the position I'm in to be bringing a child into this world, and so many people do it under much harder circumstances, and they are successful and they love it. So
Yes. And the village is everything.
yeah,
I think when you're bringing a child. So have we thought about names?
no, not yet.
No. And we're too early on sex.
Yeah, well, no, we're not finding out on sex. I'm 21 weeks. I'm really far gone.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But you're choosing not to.
No, And he keeps wanting to cave now. And I'm like, no, babe, we've come this far. We've told everyone we're not finding out.
Oh, really? So you're going to go all the way to the end?
Yeah. But a
Right.
lot of people think it's a girl.
Okay. What do you think?
Well, it's like a nub theory thing. I've put up my scan. So people have been saying that because of some nub, whatever way it points, says the gender, and they think that my one says a girl. I do think a girl, but then sometimes I just change my mind.
Okay.
He keeps calling it she now. I'm like, baby, you really,
goodness, really?
really got to get your head off of this like outcome, because you're gonna be really shocked when a big pair of balls come out of it in November. All right, we've got to be ready for either outcome.
Oh my gosh. All right. So then, Georgia, on this note,
Sorry.
I mean, you said it. I mean, I could have said a whole lot of things. I'm not going to say anything on that. You said it. It was good. It was good. I do have another surprise for you.
Oh, Paul, no.
Are you ready for this?
I've paid to get my makeup done today. What is it?
Your makeup looks great. Are you ready for this? All
I
right, close
didn't
your
know
eyes.
any of
Close
this
your eyes.
happened.
Close your eyes. Keep it close. Keep it close. Keep it close.
I will. I don't cheat.
All right, now open it up.
Oh.
Take a look.
Oh. Oh, I love it.
Just in case. You see what it says on there?
We need to, Mummy, we need to talk. Oh, Paul, thank you so much. Shall I open this?
Oh my God. You can
Save
save
it.
that. You can save that. Yeah, you can save that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you are more than welcome.
Oh my God,
that's-
you know you're going to get a pic of this. This is going to be so cute.
It's going to be, I mean, anything on a baby is cute, right?
No, I love it.
Oh my gosh.
Big
So,
go in it, look.
so I think you may have I think it might be a boy.
Do you think it's a boy?
I think
I
so.
had a weird feeling the other night that it could be.
Yeah. I mean, either way, you are.
I'm blessed either way. I always thought I'd be a boy mum growing up, because I hung around with boys more than girls. And I loved going around my boy mates' houses when it was all like mad and they're playing the video games, everyone's wrestling on the floor. But since everyone said it's a girl, I've come round to actually quite like a girl. So I'm happy either way.
Yes, yes. All right. There's one last quick topic that I have for you. Whenever I think of your name and I think of you, your identity, I think of you as activist.
Yeah.
But most importantly, I think of you happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think one key reason that you've been able to reach this place is your mother.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I've noticed how her name, or should I say you saying mom, has shown up throughout this conversation.
Yeah.
And she's been with you in the lowest points of your life and the highest points in your life. And you said she's your +1
Yeah.
for your MBE.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So on that note, I have a final surprise for
it's
you.
one from Mum.
Final surprise, the best for last.
That's it.
All right, you have to just take a listen to this one.
Okay.
This is a message from my daughter Georgia, my beautiful, brilliant daughter. You've achieved more than I ever could have imagined. You're soon to be honoured with an MBE. Yes, my child is literally on the King's list. And soon I'll be happy to say another title that fills me with joy, grandparent. The path you have walked wasn't always easy. Life threw you challenges and you didn't just face them, you tackled them head on. You stayed focused, stayed kind and always thought of others, even in your darkest days. You've not only been a wonderful daughter, you've been a source of strength, laughter and compassion to everyone around you. I love you, Georgia, deeply, unconditionally, forever. You made me proud in more ways than you'll ever know. Here's to you, my daughter, my hero, my soon-to-be mother of the most loved grandchild in history. May your journey ahead be even more extraordinary than the path behind you. It's been a ride. Love, Mum.
God, wow. I'm really impressed by that. Oh,
She said you are her hero.
speech. I know. She's mine though. Oh, thank you so much, Paul.
You are more than welcome.
I love
More
her
than
so much. It's nice to hear, like, to know things where she's saying like you were still a part of laughter and everything, even along those journeys, like, because we've had to still laugh through the storm. Do you know what I mean? And I'm lucky I've had my mum to do that with.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, Georgia, you ready for the final question?
Yeah.
All right. Final question is this, is you have had some incredible conversations throughout your life.
Yeah.
But when you think of the most meaningful conversation, what was it? Who was it with? What did you learn?
Oh, like with a family member.
It could be with anyone. That's the beauty. It could be with anyone.
I have to say one of the most meaningful conversations I probably had along my journey was when my tape did come out, was with my dad. And it was just him saying, you know, he supports me, he understands me. I've got nothing to be ashamed of. That, you know, we're all still here for me and that nothing's ever going to change. Because I think that was something I was really, you know, nervous to talk about with him. And hearing that made so much of my anxiety dissipate and so much of my strength flood in. And I'll always remember that.
Yes, yes. You know, you are such an incredibly strong person. And I think that whole title of strength gets thrown around too easily. I'm a strong man, I'm a strong woman, I'm a strong whatever, right? But there's no question that you are strength personified, you know, and I think that you are going to be an incredible mother. I think you're going to continue to be an incredible partner. Do you believe marriage is on the cards?
Oh, definitely one day. Yeah, we speak about it a lot. So yeah.
All right. I could see this.
Yeah.
I could see him proposing
Yeah.
soon, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're going to be an incredible wife. You've been an incredible daughter, but I think most importantly to all of us is you're an incredible human being. You know, you set such a great example for all of us to be inspired by, to aspire to. So this is just me saying thank you.
Thank you, Paul. This has been like such an amazing experience for me. And you are amazing at what you do. Like I've literally just been taken for a journey of my life and it feels really, really good to end on this really positive note.
There you go. See, that was a nice roller coaster,
Yeah, it
wasn't
was a nice roller coaster. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
This is my first roller coaster ride.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No burpee. Really good. It's come out unscathed.
Oh my gosh. You know what was crazy is the one time I was going to get on a roller coaster was on Celebs Go Dating
Yeah.
in Essex. Or what is it?
South End.
South End.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had shut down South End, that amusement park, and there was a roller coaster. And they were like, all right, Paul, I need you and Anna to get on this roller coaster. I said, I'm not getting on this thing. So I watched Anna loop by herself. It wasn't even a loop, but I watched her go on by herself.
But then ones do look a bit rickety.
Yeah.
Like if I was going to start, I'd go like Alton Towers or something.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe Fort Park.
Do something official.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But thank you. She's a superstar. I'm probably like many people who pigeonholed her as reality TV star and didn't appreciate her full identity. And so I'm so happy that we had this opportunity to be able to unpack her entire story. Martin Luther King Jr. used to say, faith is in essence not knowing that the step is going to be there, but you move forward anyway, right? And that's in essence how Georgia has moved through her life, is that she has had this faith that her journey was going to take her to a better place, and it has. In particular, when Georgia was facing the revenge porn case against Stephen Bear, she admitted that she should have moved faster and she should have trusted her gut. Our gut, if you will, is shaped by all of our life experiences, good, bad, and indifferent. And she had reached a point where she realizes she should have. And that's the takeaway, is for us to lean more into our gut, in essence, to have more self-belief. You know, one of the things I used to tell my mentees all the time is you want to surround yourself with 3 types of people. One is inspiration. Those are people who are actively doing the thing that you want to also be doing. You want to surround yourself with people who are aspirational, people who have done the thing that you want to do. And then you also want to surround yourself with people who are instructional, people who can tell you each step to get to the thing or the place that you want to be. Georgia Harrison is all three of those. That's how I selected my mentors early on in my life. And I think that that's the playbook. Like that is, if there's a quick hack to life, that's it.